Oh! Wait, what? Hello, hello? Oh, wait. But to be honest, mortgageoids are up big past few days. Okay? These noises, not good. How you feeling? Better. I feel like yesterday was mostly good. Hopefully today. Why do you keep conflating mortgage and house? You can mortgage an apartment. I could also mortgage these nuts in your mom's mouth, so.
This is Father Wubby.
I need to confess a sin, Father. I worked at a grocery store in my teenage years. I won't get specific. There was this one girl. Are you familiar with the term gumping it?
Father Wubby is not familiar with the term gumping it.
So gumping it is when someone is not quite retarded, but they're like just on that line. So while it's an ethical conundrum, it's not fucking a retarded person if you were to sleep with them. This will come important later in the story. She worked in the bakery. And to cut to the chase, because I've already taken a minute of your time, Father.
You're good.
I fucked her ass in the freezer.
This is Father Wubby.
I need to confess a sin, Father. I worked at a grocery store in my teenage years. I won't get specific. There was this one...
Okay. How do you make the Chrome window like 70% of the screen like that? Well, if you learn a little bit of Python, you can create random. I'm too lazy to make this stuff. Actually, I'm sorry. There's a program called Power Toys, which is what it sounds like they're using upstairs for Windows. And one of the things it lets you use is there's a program inside of Power Toys. There's a collection of programs. Don't say apps. Don't say apps. Of programs that let you do different things on your computer. And one is to create like custom spots on your screen where you can like stick windows. So I just hold shift and I have like these places made. Yeah. Fancy zones.
Traders and collaborators with the Israeli army and the Israeli police in the 1980s, before they laid a finger on an Israeli soldier or an Israeli settler in Gaza, Palestinians were the first victim of Hamas, which is so classic of the Muslim Brotherhood offshoots, so classic of the ISIS and Al-Qaeda style thinking of Sayyid Qutb and all those people. But let's put that...
Like that undermined your point. They said it's going to be unlivable by 2020. So it is 2025. It does kind of suck there, okay?
By the way, before October 7th, from 2007 till October 7th,
Okay, I'm good. What is this?
This is insane. The ICC...
Oh, it's exactly the same thing. Okay, good, nice. 2.7 million views in 3 days.
Is it possible to make something in America and be competitive in the marketplace? This video documents an experiment that lasted over 4 years. The goal was simple: to manufacture a product here in America. The challenge is that almost every single market force pushes manufacturing to make things overseas. What happens if you ignore those pressures and you just make something here anyways? This channel is supported by the patrons of Smarter Every Day. Their financial contributions are what allowed me to do this experiment, and I think
Guess how much this product costs? I don't even know what the product is.
Very important. The global economic forces that have shaped the world since World War II are changing, and I believe people in your community who understand how to manufacture things are going to be even more critical in the coming years. My home is here in America, but this video's lessons doesn't just apply to America, it's wherever you live. If you can manufacture things locally, then that ensures your self-reliance, your stability, and ultimately, your freedom. Let's explore this topic and go get smarter every day. I started this process with the goal of making everything you see here in America. All of these components go together to make one thing, and that thing is a grill scrubber. This is called the Smarter Scrubber, and we'll talk more about that later, but for now, I want to tell you how we're going to lay this video out. There's 3 parts to this video. The first part is why I wanted to do it. Like, why did I want to perform this experiment? Secondly, how it happened. Every component there has a story. I want to tell you this.
You can't even read the title, LOL. Oh, my bad, bro. The Smarter Scrubber. How could I not know exactly what that referred? The scrubber, of course. Of course that's a grill scrubber. What other things in life could we possibly scrub besides our grills? True. Somebody get this guy the fucking Einstein Award.
the story of each of those components. And finally, I want to pitch you on buying that product. I want you to buy it, not because you're watching some YouTube video, but is it actually competitive in the market? Is this a thing that can exist on its own in the marketplace? I'm going to give you that pitch and we'll see. Part one, why? Both my mom and my dad were union auto workers. United Auto Workers 2195 here locally in North Alabama.
Before you watch, guess the cost per unit to manufacture in the US? Bro, I have no idea. My guess is, the numbers I'll throw out is they probably can make these and sell these for $15 if you outsource, but made in America it costs $50. That's my guess, 15 to 50.
It's steering components for vehicles. My mom worked on the assembly line. My dad was in tool and gauge. When they would come home, they would smell like cutting fluid. And that smelled like work to me. It smelled like productivity. They made things. And everybody that I knew, their parents made things. Middle class America. The American dream was alive and well. And then things changed. With NAFTA and CAFTA, it wasn't one political party, it was everybody. Globally, things were changing so that it made more sense economically to move manufacturing facilities out of the United States. And that's exactly what happened. This is more than Destin is upset because NAFTA took mommy and daddy's job. I don't even know that NAFTA did take mommy and daddy's job. I think things were changing before that. So the global economy is so complicated. I could make a whole channel on it, but what I want to do is just take 60 seconds to demonstrate that I understand this is a complex topic, and I just want to throw some ideas out there and let you think about it, and then we're going to move on with this video. But it's just a really interesting thing to think about. Okay, so a long time ago, things were better, right? That's called golden age thinking. Every civilization has done that. The idea that if we could just return to the way that things were, things would be better. That's a powerful, nostalgic thing, but it's not really accurate. Because if you think about it, we went from this type of shipping to this type of shipping in 150 years. And that is analogous to the complexity. Because if you think about it, we went from this type of shipping to this type of shipping.
That thing was crazy. God damn. Yo, some of those shipping boats are fucking huge. Have you seen the... Even when they eject them into the water, it's crazy.
Imagine enormous containers, towering over famous buildings, and capable of holding over 20,000 containers all at once.
Look at
But
those
wait,
containers.
That's not even the largest.
That's not even the biggest one.
Three more gigantic container ships that will leave you in awe.
Aw.
Prepare the food in the galley.
Show me,
Powered by the
show me the thing. I don't want to see a graph. Or
of
a
200
graphic.
carried by the Mediterranean Shipping Company.
They're big boats, okay? All right, I'm done.
In 150 years. And that is analogous to the complexities of global trade, because wars were fought when we were using wooden boats. Imagine how complex the economics are when you go to boats like this with containerized shipping. In World War II, the Bretton Woods Accords in New Hampshire, America decided they were going to guarantee the shipping lanes would be open so global trade and global prosperity could happen. We started doing that. Everybody started doing good things. And then people started exploiting cheap labor in developing nations. And then profit became king. And so now we have billionaires and we have a wage gap. And it's very complicated. And so people are pushing factories overseas. And it's good for local communities overseas, but sometimes it's not. Okay, so that was impossible.
No, imagine managing all of those containers. I don't have to imagine it. I literally watched The Wire Season 2.
Well, I didn't even mention unions, collective bargaining agreements, all that stuff. It's a very complicated issue. And I'm not like, America is dominant and must be. No, that's not what I care about. I care about people. I love people. And I think these issues are more than something that can be distilled down to like a one-line zinger that you can use to dunk on people who differ with your views politically. This is complicated. And we as people have to solve it because we're not agrarian anymore. We have industrialization that can make food. So we must produce things as people, not just in America, everywhere. I just don't want people to be exploited in the process. My answer to all of this is Jesus, the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But we have to figure this out. Let's move on with the video. I remember this period of time not understanding how important these global shifts, literally, what were changing the town.
Do you want me to proxy argue Pisco about the Hassan shit? He's still doing the victory lap. If you want to join disagreements, I guess. But I mean, I feel like the issue's pretty closed now. I think it's pretty obvious that Hassan fabricated the entire encounter. I think there have been two killer reactions from Hassan that have kind of given the whole game away. One is when he was talking to Noah Samson and Bad Empanada, and he just kind of laughed the whole timeline off and said, who gives a shit? And then the second is when it's so crazy, when he just very quickly skips over the fact, or he's like, oh yeah, and then they kicked me out of global entry, but I don't care about that, whatever. And he just skips over it. And I'm like, it's hard because if you don't do a lot of travel, or if you don't do a lot of international travel or whatever, I don't know if it's hard to make you understand how crazy that statement is. I don't know how to make you understand how crazy that statement is. If I got an email saying that I had been removed from TSA pre, I talked with this about this with Dan last night. If I got an email saying I got removed from TSA pre, the first thing I would do is I would probably book a flight to Tampa tomorrow, and I would just show up at the airport to see if I could get through security. Because my assumption would be I just got no fly listed. That would be what I would assume. My shit is fucked. If I just got kicked out of a security screening program, I'm assuming the worst. The fact that happened to him and he had no thought in the world about it, he didn't even give a fuck, I don't know. That's pretty crazy. That's insane to me. That's wild to me. But
on around me. I become an engineer. I learned how to draft and draw parts that hopefully would be manufactured sometime in America. But then when I got out of school, there were not many plants to go work at. Fast forward a lot of stuff, and then you'll get to the 2020 global pandemic. The 2020 pandemic made a lot of people mad for a lot of reasons. It made me mad. I don't get mad very often, but it did make me mad because of manufacturing capacity in America. So when everything went down, everybody wanted N95 masks.
He's quite literally doing post hoc rationalization. He's trying to say his previous revocation is proof of his claim that his recent stop was politically motivated. Yeah, but this is what I'm not understanding, because Peace Coast traveled internationally before. He makes it sound like he just doesn't understand how any of these systems work. It's like when people say, I complained about this a lot when it came to Israel. People would say something like, I think that there are Israeli soldiers that have committed war crimes. And, you know, my response to something like that was like, almost certainly, I would probably just, a priori, I would just agree with you. Probably in any war, but yeah, especially in this one, I'm sure there are Israeli soldiers that have committed war crimes without even seeing any evidence. I would assume that it's more likely than not. But then when somebody says, I think that this drone strike was done just to kill civilians, they act like that's a logical extension of the first statement. But it's like, whoa, hold on. For an individual soldier to commit a war crime means that you need one soldier to make one stupid mistake, or not even mistake, a malicious action to do a thing that he shouldn't do. If you're talking about drone striking civilians, you're talking about money invested in ISR, you're talking about a strike cell being created, you know, with probably a lawyer involved, and an entire command from top to bottom, people doing, you know, weaponeering, people doing the target. Like, there's so much going on in this that to say that that is an intentional attack on just a civilian, that, like, they know it's a civilian, like, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but the allegation on that second thing is way bigger than the first. Yeah, it's a way bigger allegation. And yeah, I don't think that, like, I've heard some of Peace Coast's arguments on this. When Peace Coast says, yeah, I think that they targeted Hassan for his viewpoints when he got to the airport or whatever, what do you, like, I don't know if he understands how strong that statement is. Are you saying that they knew in advance that they were going to pull Hassan over? So, like, he's added to a political dissident list? Or are you saying that when he came through the airport, they're Googling every single person's name to check through every single thing they post online to see if they could find anything? Like that's just it's a huge claim to make. And it either betrays a total lack of understanding of how integrated somebody would think all these systems are, or, yeah, that's just a wild claim to make. And then also we have no evidence that the revocation of Hassan's stuff is based on Hassan's viewpoint. And personally, I would say, now this is subjective, you can get into arguments on this, but I would say there's far more evidence that it wasn't versus that it was. The first thing there are three huge things I would cite here that I think are all overwhelmingly in my favor. One, Hassan has made public statements that easily any sane human being would say, I could understand him not being on an expedited security screening list, right? America deserved 9/11, the brave Mujahideen, fuck this guy in the eye socket, tweeting out a picture of a gun used to assassinate the Japanese prime minister, tweeting that out at a sitting U.S. senator, talking about how if people really want Medicaid to be safe, they should kill Rick Scott or whatever. Like, these are all statements where it's like, I get it, right? If I got kicked off of global entry or TSA pre, my first assumption would be, oh, fuck. That my FBI guy turned in some shit I was saying. Fuck you, okay? You know I was joking. That would be my first assumption, is that I say a lot of edgy shit. And I've said a lot of edgy shit in the past. I probably said edgy shit about airports. All in jest, okay? I probably said, and that would be my first assumption, sure. That I'm not going to be on an expedited, because remember, global entry, we're talking about an expedited screening, an expedited security thing where you can skip security. That's what we're talking about, okay? Hassan was born in USA, raised in Turkey, lived there for, 17 years, right? There's so many different reasons where it's like, okay, I could get that. So that's number one, okay? Why would we assume that the revocation was based on political viewpoint? And we have no reason to think that, number one. The second thing is, this administration is not quiet about anything. They are openly bragging about everything. If Hassan was actually removed because of a political viewpoint, you know how I would know that's true? Because Trump or Christie or any other, or Homan or whatever, any of these people would be on Twitter bragging about it. They would say, yeah, of course we took this guy off global entry. Fuck this guy. He hates America. Fucking Marco Rubio would be talking about how we're trying to deport him next. Why would they do anything silently? Number two. Number three, for that policy to exist, I'm sorry, there are 4 strong points. Number three, for that policy to exist, that policy had to have come top down and has been implemented across the entirety of the USA. Unless we're saying that it was literally just personally, secretly targeting one streamer, Hassan Piker, which would be an extraordinary claim. How have we not heard about this happening to anybody else? Nothing is leaked. No emails have leaked. Everything in this admin is leaked. So no emails have leaked. No employees have leaked anything. Like, what the fuck? And then 4, how is this not happening to anybody else? If it was to the point to where Hassan Piker is being, security, I'm sorry, 5 strong points. Number 4, how is this not happening to anybody else? No, not a single other person, seemingly, that's like on like a political streamer or a news person has complained about anything like this. What the fuck? This should be happening to me and everybody else that's coming through. The people have said way harsher things about the Trump admin. And then the, I just had it. The 5th point. No, I forgot it. But yeah, it's dumb. There's no reason to think this is the case. Oh, I do remember it. Number 5, if it was the case that they were trying to be political bullies and they were trying to, kick people out or, scare people or whatever, why is it that Hassan was able to get through in 15 minutes? That seems like the worst chilling effect ever. Like, you. It's like, yeah, what's up? I'm from the government. Oh, shit. What do you do for work? Politics. What do you talk about? Trump. Oh, yeah? What do you say about him? I fucking hate him. You hate him? You hate him? What do you think about the Houthis or Nasrallah? They're on the U.S. terror watch list. Oh, yeah? Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. Okay. Like, wow. I'm so chilled. I'm so goddamn chilled. Like, what the fuck? It's so it's just childish. Okay, I don't even know how to seriously get to this argument. If there was a talk about the Chris Krebs comparison, there's no way that Pisco made the Chris Krebs comparison. I don't believe you. I would have to see. I'm getting baited on that. Okay, I'm getting baited on that. He didn't make that because that would be incredibly fucking stupid. Because Chris Krebs, okay, had his security clearance revoked. For no reason. That is a big deal. Why? What? And again, Trump is not private about this. Chris Krebs is an example in my favor. Donald Trump said on Wednesday that he would use the power of the Justice Department to go after 2 officials who were highly critical of him during his first term in office, including one who's anonymously written New York Times op-ed claiming he was part of the resistance to Trump's presidency, captivated the nation for years. The announcement by Trump that he was targeting former Department of Homeland Security official Miles Taylor, who penned the op-ed, and former Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency Director Chris Krebs, whose rejection of Trump's claims of the widespread voter fraud during the 2020 election, like, he's open about this. This is in my favor. All of this goes in my favor. He'll brag about it. He'll be open about it. Sorry. It can't be. This can't be real. Wait, what's happening? Where is the top bar to this browser window? Oh, it's this. What? Oh, that ad. Jesus. Bro, I didn't think about it at all last when I talked to Pisco, but the tweet I was arguing with him over was a walked back statement of Hassan saying that Rick Scott should be killed explicitly. Yeah, Jesus. Remember, global entry. This is for expedited security. This is to skip security screening. Like, Jesus Christ. Okay, also, I'm going to be honest. I was late 1 hour today because I was gooning. Okay? I was gooning. Fuck, somebody find this. Okay. Gavin Newsom, all right, is approaching dangerous levels of based, okay? I want to see this full interview, but I saw like a 20-second clip. And we need more. Wait, I sent you this, Destiny. Scooby Main. Oh, wait, did you DM me on Twitter? Some guy DM me this on Twitter. Thank you for reminding me where it was. I don't know if you're the one who... They just arrested a senator? Okay, I'll look at that in a second. Ooh, hold on. I got a honey in my DMs. Hello, my name is Maina. Nice to meet you. It's a hot profile picture. I like to make friends of the opposite sex who have suitable personalities, are older than me, and are sincere. Hello? I am 38 years old. Fuck! Well. How old do the bots think I am? What the fuck? Fuck you. Fuck you! How was I ID'd by this account? Wait, who DM'd me? I thought this was on Twitter. Somebody DM'd me a based Gavin Newsom clip. Where was it? Or was it not on Twitter? Was it somewhere else? It was on Twitter. It was me. Wait, DM me again. Why do I feel like my Twitter DMs disappear sometimes? Sometimes I want to cry about harassment I get, and then I go to my Twitter DMs, and I feel like half of them are gone. Wait, DM me again. Is this happening? Is Elon rigging my account? They do break, do they? Bugged because of Elon. They don't work half the time. This one? Yes. Fuck. I want to watch this full interview. But it's taken us a while to get here, but we're finally here. No equivocating, okay? When Trump does a bad thing, all right? None of this, I think that Trump's behavior is unbecoming as a president and say, he's a fuckwad. He's a fucking loser. He's a piece of shit. He's a liar. He's a liar. Oh my God, he says it. Fuck. Hold on. I might come again watching this.
He can't handle. Because the other night, he came out and said that when you guys spoke, he warned you that if you didn't get things under control, he was going to bring in troops. Stone cold liar.
That's it! That's it! I don't know why he's saying that. I haven't seen the call. Just fucking, he's a fucking liar. Yes, he is. Governor of California. Fuck yes. Yes.
He warned you that if you didn't get things under control, he was going to bring in troops. Stone cold liar. Stone cold liar.
Because it forces the confrontation. You can't navigate. Well, maybe an aide called or something, and then they can be like, oh, we're sorry, we had... No, you just called him a fucking liar. Call him a fucking liar.
He made that up.
And he says he made it up. True.
He makes up so many other things.
True.
He never said that.
Macron and Gavin Newsom, okay, need to make a buddy cop movie where they go to D.C. and they impeach the president, okay? That's all I'm saying. Please. Can you... Please, that's all I'm saying. Special Agent, Stream Watcher.
And he also seemed to make up this idea that the National Guard did a great job last night when they weren't here. They weren't even deployed, and he claimed victory.
He's just lying.
He's lost it.
Yeah, he's lost it.
He hasn't lost a step. And I saw him trip.
Aha, in the personal end zone! He tripped!
On the steps today. I mean, this is serious. He is not the same person that I dealt with just 4 years ago. And he's incapable now of even a train of thought.
Oh my God. Now that's the boomer way of calling him retarded. We take it.
He's making things up.
Yes.
And he's putting people's lives at risk. And he's got a band of people that are complicit in this. And that's what's so damn alarming. But
God, yes. This is good. It's a good meme. Listen, DGG chatters. When a link is posted, assume I've seen the link. Please do not post the same link that everyone else posted 15 minutes. It's open. I have it. Okay? You need to do your civic engagement to be a good chatter. Part of being a good chatter is... Actually, wait. Are we able to make it so that chat can have cooldown stuff, but just attached to repeating links? E.g., if any link has been posted, it is unable to be posted again for 10 minutes, question mark. Okay.
To sue the Trump administration over its deployment of the National Guard to stop the anti-ICE protests.
He revealed that to Alex Michelson, who sat down exclusively with the governor, who had some strong words for President Trump.
Governor Newsom, what is your main message to the people of California in this moment?
Well, that Donald Trump is reckless. He's immoral. He's taken the illegal and unconstitutional act of federalizing the National Guard, and he's putting lives at risk.
I mean, is it truly unconstitutional? I know it's been done before.
Well, I mean, in his own executive order, it directs the Department of Defense to collaborate with state governors.
Wow, thank you. Look, this is DGGer. He watches my stream. True, thank you. Guys, read the laws, know the laws. Yes, yes. In the executive order, the federal code that he cites says it has to be done through the governors. It's not just for the president to do.
So by definition, it's illegal. There was no collaboration. There was no counsel, no consideration of the rules of engagement. It was a reckless act that has led to conditions that have been exacerbated, and it's putting people's lives at risk.
So can't he declare an insurrection and go forward with this?
Yeah, he potentially can, and there's latitude. But as it relates to the actual language in his executive order, there's a reason we're going to court tomorrow, and the reason we're confident that we will succeed. That said, he's pushing now out the boundaries, whether or not we're going to get into posse comitatus, and whether or not he's going to test the theories in that case to then require the state National Guard in a federalized posture to coordinate and collaborate with ICE enforcement, which certainly would not have a precedent.
Also, just a huge thing. I'm not debating this. I'm not going to do this today because this is such a dumb argument, okay? The Hassan stuff is over, okay? Hassan lied 50 million ways, okay? However, just note this, okay? Unfortunately, this is a much more difficult legalistic argument to have. I would never grant this far in an argument. But even if you were to say that somebody was discriminated against in a way that was not viewpoint neutral, meaning somebody discriminated, the state discriminated against you in a way that was taking into account your political beliefs, your First Amendment rights, that's not necessarily illegal, right? The standard of review, remember we went over the rational basis, intermediate scrutiny, heightened scrutiny or strict scrutiny. No, intermediate I think is called heightened sometimes. Or strict scrutiny, right? Even the First Amendment can come under question depending upon the interest of the state. And when you're talking about border security, international travel, okay, and keeping the country safe, this is where the government's power is at its apex. This is some of the strongest power. So it might be, now I wouldn't grant this part of the argument, right? But it might be that you could grant all of it. You could say they did discriminate against him for his political views, and it would still be legal in nature. It would be it wouldn't be a violation of the First Amendment, or it could be theoretically violative of your freedom of speech rights. However, because the government's power is at its strongest point here, and because the government can make a compelling interest to the state for literally for security of airplane travel and everything else, then somebody could be kicked off of an expedited screening program or whatever. So just as a, just a heads up. But
National Guard in a federalized posture to coordinate and collaborate with ICE enforcement, which certainly would not have.
Why can't the Supreme Court punish Trump for this type of legal brinksmanship where he is throwing shit at the wall constantly and testing his limits? This has got to be punishable somehow now. So the Supreme Court, so far, unless I'm forgetting something, when the Supreme Court has had to step up the Supreme Court this term has. And they've done a good job at it, I believe. Yes, the immunity ruling was crazy. That was before, but I think the Supreme Court has done a decent job so far. I think there's a couple things, these are informal things, like they're not hard rules, I think, but there's a few things to keep in mind when you're talking about courts, though, in general, okay? So one, we have lots of courts. We don't just have a Supreme Court, okay? Original jurisdiction, like who can hear a case, original, all that, is an important part of our process. You want people to go through the process. The Supreme Court isn't going to be the first court for a lot of these cases. So they're going to kick things down to lower courts and have lower courts make decisions. As memey as that one argument was, because of the way it was being applied, when the Solicitor General was arguing it, percolation is an important concept. Rather than having, so percolation, I don't know if there's a legal term or he just uses a noun or whatever the fuck, but like, you want to have a bunch of different judges across the country considering a bunch of similar issues so that you can see what that debate looks like in the courthouses with a different collection or assessment of facts, or a different collection of facts, and then the facts being assessed differently through all these different courts before it gets up to the Supreme Court. So they have a whole bunch of stuff to kind of consider. It makes the final ruling stronger, right? If we remember when we read Gorsuch's breakdown of what stare decisis meant, you want to have lots of judges through longer periods of time considering things using consistent rules. All of these things eventually lead to, hopefully, a stronger decision. So it's okay when they kick something back to lower court. It's okay when they do this, as long as when we finally need the Supreme Court to make a strong decision, they're standing strong on what they should be deciding. And so far, I believe this term, I believe they have been. So the Supreme Court is doing an okay job. Oh, and then a second thing. Now remember, these are informal rules. Like if SCOTUS wanted to just like eat a case and take it to me, I mean, they could. They probably have in the past. I probably even know example. I just can't think of any right now. Second thing is, courts at the end of the day are strongly worded suggestions, but polite ones nonetheless, with no power to enforce their rule. Okay. At the end of the day, a court is just saying, "Hey, do this, please," and if you're not, we're going to send the executive after you. So when the court is talking to the executive, they're being very polite, saying, please do this. Courts do not like to issue unenforceable decisions or issue decisions that they know aren't possible to be enforced. It undermines the legitimacy of the court. It's a waste of everybody's fucking time. And so a court just generally isn't going to do it. So the court isn't going to want to just start issuing a fuck ton of decisions knowing that the government is going to just like, railroad over these or through these and not listen to anything. So the court, I think, is acting probably as they should be. I think they're, so far, from what I've seen everywhere, it seems like the courts are doing an admirable job. So far.
The State National Guard in a federalized posture to coordinate and collaborate with ICE enforcement, which certainly would not have its precedent in 100+ years.
You think that's going to happen?
I think we're on the precipice of that being a real possibility. I have zero confidence.
I really think we as Americans, Ezra Klein brought this up, Gavin is starting to press into this, we really, really need to come together and think of a red line, because I feel like we're very much boiling in the lobster pot. Trump has done so many things. Oh, fuck, I don't remember what show we were listening to. Trump has done so many things that if you would have asked like 6 months ago, or if you would have asked a year ago, like, oh, what if Trump does this? They'd be like, oh shit, revolution. Oh shit, civil war. But because everything kind of like happens slowly over time and everything, we just don't feel it. We're the lobster in the pot boiling, Destiny. The Supreme Court has not stepped up in the case of the admin illegally removing temporary protected status for Venezuelan migrants. A federal judge issued an injunction and the Supreme Court granted the government stay order. So the problem with things like TPS, okay, and this is one of my biggest criticisms arguably of DACA, okay, is that for too long, okay, please listen to me. This is why voting is important, okay? Civics takes, all right, with Destiny the retard, okay? Please listen to me. For too long, okay, we have accepted that we are too divided as Americans to pass groundbreaking legislation in Congress. I don't know what the last big, important, like, rights pertaining piece of legislation is. Maybe the crime bill in 93 or 92, maybe. We cannot, what's happening is, unfortunately, maybe the ACA, I don't know if that's civil rights-ish, Not the Marriage Equality Act? No, I wouldn't count that, and I'm going to tell you why, okay? But I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. For too long, because we have decided that we can't pass anything in Congress, we're starting to look to the other branches of government to fill in that role. And it's improper, and we see the results of that impropriety. So some big examples would be, remember when we were going over immigration and studying how the immigration system in the US works, the president, the executive, has, under his very narrow purview when it comes to allowing immigrants in the country, the ability to do a special carve-out for a few groups of people. One of these carve-outs, there were 3 different ones. One of them is called TPS, or Temporary Protected Status. The problem is that that is not Congress approving those immigrants. It has nothing to do with the legislative branch. That's just the president having the special ability to say, hey, there are some people, I'm going to designate them as safe, and let's do this. I think that DACA maybe, I think this is in my notes somewhere. I think DACA was done under TPS. Let me see if I can find this. Control F, TPS. We have TPS, DED, so temporary protected status, deferred enforced departure, and deferred action for childhood arrivals established in 2012. Okay. This was just done, DACA was a executive kind of pause on certain types of deportations that was done by the president. That's it. DACA has nothing to do with Congress. And you can see what's the weak thing about a thing introduced by a president is that it can be rescinded by a president. That's not good. This is why we need to be fighting for things like legislative reform of immigration and not rely on the president to do things for immigration. Because what a president introduces, another president can theoretically rescind. You have no legal ground to do it. So when you zip, you said the Supreme Court has not stepped up on the case of the admin illegally removing TPS. I'd have to look into it explicitly. Like, they can't be arbitrary and capricious. So Trump can't come out and say, I'm removing this because I think it's gay, which is kind of what he tried to do with DACA. And the Supreme Court was like, okay, well, you got to, like, you can be pretextual, right? You can ad hoc it, but at least say something. You can't just do this. This is retarded. You actually have to try. You have to give a reason and pretend that we're doing something here. But if the president can introduce it, the next president can take it away. Not good. That's why we want the Congress to do things. All right. Another few examples of this is, unfortunately, a lot of the civil rights advances that we've gotten in this country, so like abortion, gay marriage, have come from the Supreme Court. Remember, we had the Civil Rights Act? That was a big piece of legislation from Congress that the Congress voted on and supported and passed into law, right? Or things like amendments are obviously the Congress of the states. These are big things. The fact that we are reliant on, now somebody brought up the Marriage Equality Act. I could be wrong. I don't think I am. I believe, didn't that come under Biden recently? That act came way after the Supreme Court is what stepped in and safeguarded gay marriage. But we've seen this now. So what happened with abortion? Well, abortion was given to us not by the Congress, which ideally it would have been. It was given to us in a very complicated manner by the Supreme Court. And then what happened? And the next Supreme Court, not the next one, but a later Supreme Court revoked it. Okay, this is the weakness of passing stuff through the passing legislation, I'm air quoting that really hard, through the executive branch or through the Supreme Court, is that it can later on be revoked by the executive branch of the Supreme Court. And you don't want it to be that way. You want it to be revoked by the Congress if it's going to be, because that represents collectively the mind of the American people, a decided mind. Remember, in their simplest versions, the executive is swift and vigorous. It can act with decisive certainty to do things that we needed to do in an expedited manner, very quick. That's what an executor, right, is for. The Supreme Court is here to tell us, right, what is legal. Okay, well, how do we interpret the law? How do we make sure that we're acting within the law? Congress is supposed to be the one that gives us the set of all possible actions to consider and then dictates what actions we ought to take. And for too long, we've relied on the Supreme Court and the executive to give us that list of possible actions and choose. That's just not good. We shouldn't be reliant on them for that, okay? Sorry, that's my rant on that. Can you read my response? It was arbitrary and capricious, and that was one of the judge's arguments in the order. They didn't justify their action. Oh, well, I mean, if it was arbitrary, I would have to go back and read through it, but... Did you address that these protections were vacated without due process? Why does my chat reload so much? Jader, what's going on? I don't know if it's just me or... A large issue here is that they are attempting to avoid providing these migrants with an appealable decision by vacating a term absent from any previous application of the law. And since the Trump admin is arguing that migrants do not have the right to appeal it, I don't know if those migrants would have the right to appeal it. What to appeal the their TPS? I don't know if they would have that right. I feel like my gut feeling, my intuitive feeling is that the executive can just introduce it and rescind it for no reason whatsoever. Well, no, I guess they would have the reason to rescind it if it's going to inconvenience a bunch of people. But I imagine the rationale would have to be very light. They wouldn't need a strong reason for it, would be my guess. But okay, sorry. Let me finish this.
He's acting recklessly. He's acting unlawfully. He's putting people's lives at risk. And it's my job to clean up Donald Trump's mess, because he's making it by the hour.
You guys talked the other night, right?
Yes, we did.
What was that conversation like?
It was a very collaborative conversation. It was a very good conversation. And he didn't really want to engage on the issues of LA, which was the great irony of this. He wanted to talk about a myriad of other issues. There was no suggestion, none, period, full stop, about the National Guard. Quite the contrary. And by the way, I have a lot of experience with the National Guard. So do you here in LA.
Right.
We've been using the National Guard. I've directed the National Guard.
Really?
With the National Guard. So do you here in LA.
Right.
We've been
Sony camera, autofocus. What's going on here, guys? It's focused on the focus is on the text in the back. Not good. Zip, I can't respond because I don't know the details of the case. I can't tell you the details. Maybe if this was arbitrary and capricious, then that's bad. I can't even read your last message because now you've spammed the past saying it was arbitrary. You said that's not the case for TPS. They didn't revoke the status. They did some bullshit with vacating the extension of it, which has never been done before in the history of it existing. Sure, but when you say that, what you're telling me is that TPS is something that required it to be extended over and over and over again, which kind of sounds like bullshit. And you're saying that if they decide not to extend it, that's arbitrary and capricious? It sounds like the extension process was arbitrary and capricious, and they were just trying to have a permanent thing set up by the executive that avoided having any act from Congress. That's what it sounds like to me. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I haven't read the details of this case. If the details are bad, then I agree that it's bad. That's all I got to say. I haven't read it all. I haven't read it any.
Been using the National Guard. I've directed the National Guard down here prior as it relates to issues during 2020 riots. And so we have no ideological opposition of utilizing the Guard, but there's zero necessity. There was no request of mutual aid. LAPD, the Sheriff's Office, no request. CHP, more than capable. We've got 175 CHP off today because of what Donald Trump did with the National Guard.
But we see some of the images in the streets today. We see cars burning. We see freeways being shut down. We see
unacceptable.
But it's clear.
Also, I appreciate that, unlike, I would argue, there was a lot of weak messaging from Democrats. I'm liking Newsom more and more. There was a lot of weak messaging from Democrats during BLM. Newsom has steadfastly been on this. The rioting has to fucking stop. And I even heard him saying earlier, if that means the LAPD mowing down, I'm just kidding, in a video game. I'm just kidding. Joking. Love you guys. And I love all of you in my government. I'm just kidding. He didn't say it. But he has been very strong in the bro, the LAPD is going to arrest you. Rioting's not good. Fuck off with that shit. He's been super, super, super straight on that. No misinterpreting anything he's saying about that at all, which I appreciate.
Clear that things aren't totally under control right now.
That's right, because he's created the conditions.
Yeah.
He's exacerbated the conditions. This is Donald Trump's. These are images that Donald Trump created.
You think he wants it politically?
Of course he wants it politically.
Why?
Also, trying to blame and pin these images of the guy on the car and the things on fire on Donald Trump, this is what he should be doing. Because it is true. Donald Trump wanted to do this the entire time. This is the whole point, is to try to induce this type of chaos.
Because he wants to divide us. He wants to attack the rule of law. He wants to attack the democracy. He wants to attack the best of what makes this country. The reasons our founding fathers lived and died. This fundamental notion of three independent branches. He can't handle. He's already taken over. And Speaker Johnson's a joke. He's completely complicit. $2.5 trillion to your debt. Wrecking the economy. Take Elon Musk's comments on that, just not mine. I mean, it's been a disastrous presidency. And so, of course, we're here with another distraction that puts, in this case, people's lives at risk. And he's testing the boundaries of the Constitution in a way that one can clearly argue is a constitutional crisis.
I would word that stronger. He is not testing the boundaries of the Constitution. He's testing the loyalty and the sycophancy of the Republican Party by breaking the Constitution and violating it. That's what that truly is what he's doing.
So how do you
sycophancy? Is that a word?
Negotiate with somebody who may want these images?
Oh, you don't negotiate. Fuck him. True. Fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck him. True.
Is a constitutional crisis.
So how do you negotiate with somebody who may want these images?
You can't negotiate
You know what I mean?
with them. Come on, no one can negotiate with them. I mean, no one can.
Do the global trade thing. Wait. Hold on. Wait. Real quick. Can somebody update me? Because I haven't checked recently. How many global trade deals has the U.S. worked out since we went on that whole Liberation Day thing? I'm trying to remember if the number was because I checked a month ago, it was 0. And I checked a couple weeks ago, and I think it was 0. I feel like I checked a few days ago, and I think it was 0. And then I haven't checked it today, but is it still 0?
Come on, no one can negotiate with them. I mean, no one can. I've gone out of great lengths to try to work with this guy. Mm-hmm. You can't work with him. You can only work for him, and I'll never work for him. And it's shameful, those that are, and that are complicit.
Oh, true. Call him. Name names. He shouldn't. Maybe not. That's too far. Don't do it. I would do it, but I'm not the governor. The law firms apparently that said that they signed on, that they were working with the Trump admin are losing clients, which is good. I like that. I like that people are leaving them. And the rationale they're giving is good too. When you hire a law firm, right? What is a law firm for? What is a lawyer for? I need you to be fighting in my corner stronger than my mom and dad would, stronger than anybody in my life. I'm paying you to represent me, to put the strongest arguments to defend me. And why would I hire a law firm when you guys won't even defend yourselves? You guys capitulated yourselves against the Trump admin. Fuck, how do I know? How do I know you're going to stand by me if you can't even stand up for yourselves? I like that they're losing business. It sounds mean, or I don't mean to be mean, but like the ones that did stand up to Trump are apparently picking up some of his clients too, and they should. That's good. Stop. Don't Frost Z's. Don't carry that bullshit. Wait, this is in the final stages? Kind of deal struck? Oh, like the hostages deal was in the final stages with Hamas, right? Or like how the Ukraine-Russia was going to be solved in day one, right? Or how the envoy, Steve Witkoff, said that the Israeli-Palestinian war was going to be done before he even came into office, right? Or how we were right on the verge of signing a deal with the UK, right? Or like, no, until something is signed, nothing has happened. Until something is signed, nothing has happened, okay? Your job is to get the name on the dotted line. Fuck, what is it? We need this guy to go and talk to Trump, okay?
You drove a Hyundai to get here tonight. I drove an $80,000 BMW. That's my name. And your name is You're Wanting. You can't play in the man's game. You can't close them. Then go home and tell your wife your troubles. Because only one thing counts in this life.
One thing.
Get them to sign on the line which is dotted.
That's it.
You hear me, you fucking faggot?
No! He didn't say that.
Can only work for him, and I'll never work for him. And it's shameful, those that are, and that are complicit in this, and that are rolling over. And as I said, the founding fathers are rolling over in their graves right now watching this.
Call him out.
Do you, because the other night, or he came out and said that when you guys spoke, he warned you that if you didn't get things under control, he was going to bring in troops.
Stone cold liar. Stone cold liar. He made that up.
Fucking.
Like he makes up so many other things.
True.
He never said that.
True.
That was our Alex Michelson reporting.
True. Sorry, until Twitter does another arbitrate. Sometimes they A/B push me. Some guy keeps sending me. There's a way to reset the volume. Oh, fuck, hold on. I should just do this. God damn it. Twitter likes to A/B push me their random bullshit tests to fuck with my user interface because they think it's fucking epic. So they get rid of my volume thing sometimes. I locked at 0.03. Good one. Epic!
Guys, ready? And bell. Sir, hands up, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your hands off.
Listen, I want to champion everybody that gets arrested by this admin. Video starts right as he's starting to get pushed off. Makes me think my gut feeling about this, if somebody has a longer video, I'll watch it. My gut feeling is he was probably asked to leave, or he was probably trying to interrupt and he didn't, and he stayed there, and eventually they arrested him. So perhaps they're getting arrested, but this is civil disobedience. I mean, like, they're probably in the right to arrest him, so I don't.
Guys, ready? And bell. Sir, hands up, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your hands off.
How many of our ICE agents have been docked?
On the ground. Hands behind your back.
Longer video.
Care for your loved ones. It can't always be you.
Okay.
And you don't have to hire just anyone.
Who do I hire?
You can find a background-checked caregiver who's the right fit for you.
Holy shit. Care.com.
From child and senior care to pet care and more. Join now and find care at care.com.
We should support him making them arrest him, right? Like, we should be blasting out this message. Civil things like this aren't really terrible, but we have to make them give us the clips. There's a subtle difference in messaging, and it's hard for me to explain this, but like, getting arrested isn't, like, it's not a bad thing. Like, civil disobedience, the point is kind of to get arrested. And the cops are probably in the right for arresting you. So like, if you do a sit-in somewhere, right, and the cops arrest you, then the cops should arrest you. I mean, that's the point. You're blocking things. The goal is to get arrested. But you're doing it to protest some action that you shouldn't think should be happening, and it gets a lot of eyes on that particular thing. Just the focus needs to be on the right place. It's subtle, but I think it's important. Yeah. Like, what are you here? What are you here for? Why are you getting arrested for it? If that makes sense. It's civil disobedience. Somebody said there's a longer clip, but it's not this one. Is it this one?
The future of trading is here.
What is the future of trading?
Robinhood Legend.
Robinhood.
Desktop trading platform.
Robinhood Desktop.
Visualize the way you analyze, buy, and sell like never before.
Hold 6 monitors come with the Robinhood app? Program, I mean. Desktop. Fuck.
All right, it sounds like they're kind of waiting for the rest of the press to get set. They were trying to make sure all the mics were working. They did their audio checks. Again, my name.
Okay. I'm coming off, I don't care if this is a little bit misogynistic, okay? It's not even misogynistic because you men are the problem, okay? Because you guys all encourage this, all right? How old is she? Hold on. She's 53. Okay, at least she's on her 30s. If you're doing cosmetic surgeries, or if you're engaged in like beautification or aesthetics or whatever, the goal should be, I am talking to you women, and I am a man who doesn't know anything about this, so stay mad, okay? The goal should be is you have somebody who's 35 and you look at them and they're like, you know, how old do I look? It's like, you look really good for 30 to 35. That's what you look like. There is no such thing as a 40-year-old that looks 25. What happens is you're a 40-year-old who looks like you're trying to look like you're 25, and instead you look like the antagonist and it. I don't know. is this every woman in the Trump cabinet or admin that is doing like the insane, like the fillers and the cake, like it's disgusting. And you guys, because the men are in charge of this too, you guys support this as well. Stop liking this, okay? In the 90s and the 2000s, we had a look and it was called Girl Next Door. Go back to that, okay? This is gross and crazy. Stop. Fuck you guys.
My name is Kristi Noem. I'm the Department of Homeland Security Secretary for President Donald J. Trump. And I am so thankful for the men and women of law enforcement who have been working every single day to bring law and order and peace back to the citizens of Los Angeles and to the state of California. As you know, we've seen under this last week some operations that have been working to bring in criminals that have been out on our streets for far too long. Our HSI and ICE individuals have been out conducting operations with our government partners to make sure that these criminals, bad actors, murderers, rapists, pedophiles.
Yes, my MAGA mother and sister both probably chose to look just like her they could.
Traffickers and drug traffickers are brought in and brought to justice finally under this administration. I do want to thank the men and women of law enforcement. They've been absolute rock stars in what they've done to protect this community and to protect this city. I want to specifically name those that are under the umbrella within our components under the Department of Homeland Security.
Michael Knowles was giving advice to the left on his show today, dropping the Mexican flag / quelling riots, but knows our party is too paralyzed to implement anything. Is he right, or are you hopeful? I would have to look at his advice. I don't think you have to drop the Mexican flag. I think just have more American flags. I think it's fine to fly them both. If anything, I think that it's better to have them both than just the American one. Because again, you want to show solidarity. You want to show like a union of, people working together and a coalition of partners for some particular movement. I think both are good.
That has been our ICE officers who have been on the front line out there interdicting with many of these dangerous criminals. Also HSI with their investigative skill set and tactical teams have been absolutely imperative to us in helping us make sure we're running operations and really targeting these bad actors. Our Federal Protective Services and also our Border Patrol agents sees Mayor Bass, and they recognize that it's a huge disservice to the people who have to try to raise their families here, and that these agents and that these law enforcement officers are working to change that and give them an opportunity to be successful.
I don't want solidarity with Mexicans. I want solidarity with Mexican Americans. No, you want solidarity with all of them. I mean, what is a Mexican American but the child of somebody who was a Mexican, right? And it's California. California and Mexico are fairly close to each other, some might say. There's a ton of travel back and forth. You've got a lot of legal immigration. You've got a lot of illegal immigration. It's good. It's good solidarity. Mexico is under attack by Donald Trump just as much as California is as well. It's good.
And to live the American dream. Listen, many officers have been assaulted over the last several days. We did see.
I don't think I support the half flags. Some people say they look good or based. I think maybe if it's like hanging up on a wall and you can see it very clearly in the background of a studio, they're okay. But I feel like the half flags just end up looking too messy in practice. Just carry two flags or whatever, I think. I don't know.
Before that, assaults against law enforcement and ICE officers go up over 400%. In this situation, we've seen that increase even more. It's not acceptable. If you assault a law enforcement officer, we are going to come after you and we are going to arrest you, prosecute you, and put you away. That is not going to work. And under this administration with President Trump's leadership, one person is not better than another. Just because you think you're here as a citizen or because you're a member of a certain group or you're not a citizen, it doesn't mean that you're going to be protected and not face consequences from the laws that this country stands for. We have a constitution.
Is there any actual policy or anything done at the border that can explain the big decrease in illegal border crossings, or is it just the fact that people aren't willing to risk it with Trump in office? I mean, it could be that Trump signed an EO that might give them a bit more power to expel people at the border instead of just accepting them in and doing the asylum claims. And it's hard to know how much is that versus how much is a legitimate decrease of interest in coming to the United States. Are there still graphs about the tourism thing? Because the numbers of people that were coming down, at least on that one graph that was posted, was like plummeted from everybody, like every nationality. I don't know if that would impact it as well. I'm not sure, but I mean, I'm sure tougher immigration enforcement is probably helping to some extent. But I think that there's a world where it's fair to criticize Biden for being too slow on border enforcement stuff. Maybe. I think there's a world where that is. It's easy to add to post hoc rationalize it. It's just hard because Republicans are so much able to dictate what it is we're supposed to care about, which is frustrating. Because remember, the big thing, the big boogeyman for the entire administration was inflation, which is what Biden spent the majority of his term combating. And then I want to say it was really the last year where the immigration stuff, that became like the hyper fixation. And then those cards that were giving $30,000 to illegal immigrant, that became the thing. And then they tried to do a big legislation, something through Congress to deal with it. And Trump killed that. And I don't know, I have a hard time. No, fuck. I'm too middle of the road on this. I'm sorry. Let me walk that back. Illegal immigration was never that big of a problem in the U.S. I'm actually never going to be moved off of that position. I'm sorry. There is no world where that issue was as bad as Republicans claim it was, and then they murder the bill that was supposed to come through just so that Trump can keep the border open for the election. I'm sorry. That's just bullshit, and I'll never believe a single Republican that tells me otherwise. Sorry. That's just fucking bullshit.
We follow that.
Why did Biden get rid of Remain in Mexico? I'd have to go back and look at the rationale exactly. There are a couple of reasons that I've heard. One is that it hurts our relationship with Mexico. Two is that I think there were a lot of legal challenges to different types of programs that we had like that, Remain in Mexico being one. And three, the Remain in Mexico didn't actually do that much. I think Remain in Mexico at the end of the day, didn't Trump implement this in like 2019? I think it was only responsible for stopping maybe like 30 to 40,000 people from coming. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Consequences from the laws that this country stands for. We have a constitution. We follow that constitution and the laws that have been passed by our Congress, and we're going to make sure they are equally applied to every single person as it applies under the Constitution here in Los Angeles, but also across the country. As our law enforcement officers have been assaulted, they've been pelted with rocks.
You should cover Knowles more often. We need more clip chipping on the left. He's a perfect victim because he's unhinged. Is he? They're still holding on to that show that we did. That was a really good show, by the way. That would have been a 500,000 plus, depending on how popular Knowles is on YouTube. I bet it'd be a million plus view video. That was a really good show that we did. It was a super good show. We both were a little drunk by the end of it. It was a really good show. We covered family, religion, politics, and they didn't release it, I think, because the Daily Wire got spooked because of my firefighter comments. So they're just sitting on that gold.
Rocks and bricks. Their cars have been set on fire. Molotov cocktails have been used. We have seen people.
30 to 40,000 is a good amount to keep out. Not when you're complaining on the scale of millions.
People throw bottles and hammers at them. We've also seen that they have been attacked and verbally spit on or punched or assaulted, and it's just not acceptable. The Department of Homeland Security.
Why did it take so long for any immigration bill to be proposed? Wasn't that the end of Biden's presidency? Because I think the fixation for the first few years was on stuff like inflation and recovering the economy. That was the stuff we were super worried about.
And the officers and the agencies and the departments and the military people that are working on this operation will continue to sustain and increase our operations in this city. We are not going away. We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist and the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this mayor.
And I understand that we just don't do anything because we're pussies in the United States. Who would have ever thought that a country with so many citizens with so many firearms would be so pussy whipped when it came to the federal government? Not implying that anything else should happen or anything like that. Okay, would never imply that. But I'm just saying that I've said this in the past, and I'll continue to say this. The only thing I ever want to hear out of a fat, white, redneck fuck mouth when it comes to the Second Amendment, the only reason the Second Amendment exists is because guns are fun. Okay? And it was written a long time ago, and we're keeping it because guns are fun, and that's it. It has nothing to do with standing up to any kind of corrupt admin, because people have clearly shown in the U.S. that they're unwilling to do that.
And increase.
You're here to liberate. I'm sorry, you're liberating the state of California from itself with the federal government. This is the whole reason why we have a federalized system. Is exactly so that this is an insane statement. Could you imagine Biden, if he would have said stuff like this about Abbott? We're going into Texas to liberate Texas from the corrupt Texas officials, from the racists and the Nazis. She sounds like fucking Putin talking about Ukraine.
Increase our operations in this city. We are not going away. We are staying here to liberate this city from the social.
I understand. I'm sorry. Fuck. It's just because we lack so much civics. I don't think you understand how crazy this statement is. From the debates of like, do we have states? How strong is the federal government? We had the Articles of Confederation. That government was too weak because everybody was so paranoid about the federal government having too much power. We have a government where the federal government is only allowed to do explicitly what's written in the Constitution, okay, or what gets incorporated by other, or no, incorporation goes to the states. But like that's, oh, sorry, I accidentally entered that. I'd copy that for a video later. That's the only thing the federal government is allowed to do. Every other power is left to the states, okay? What do they, there's a name for this. They call this a constitution of deferred power. There's a specific term. I don't remember what it was. But yeah, that was the big fear, is the federal government having too much power. And for somebody to say, I'm waiting for somebody to say the word. What am I thinking? It's a government of, it's not inferred, deferred, appointed, a government of, is it delegated? Expressed and implied? Enumerated. I think that's what I'm looking for. Enumerated powers. Maybe. I think enumerated is the word I'm looking for. But you have like, that's what the federal government gets, and then everything else is left to the states. For the federal government of the United States to say they're going to go in and liberate a state, these are words of war, in my opinion. These are words of, stop. 2025 is going to be the year of me not qualifying my statements as much, okay? These are words of war, the same way that we engaged in words of war against Panama, the same that we engaged in words of war against Greenland, and the same way that we engaged in words of war against Canada. These are words of war against the state of California from the federal government of the United States.
Been assaulted. They've been pelted with rocks and bricks. Their cars have been set on fire. Molotov cocktails have been used. We have seen people throw bottles and hammers at them. We've also seen that they have been attacked and verbally spit on or punched or assaulted, and it's just not acceptable. The Department of Homeland Security and the officers and the agencies and the departments and the military people that are working on this operation will continue to sustain and increase our operations in this city.
Sustain and increase our operations in this city. For what is the goal again? Who are you trying to get rid of? Listen for who they're trying to get rid of. Who are you going after?
We are not going away.
Okay.
We are staying here to liberate the city from...
Liberate it? From to liberate it from illegal immigrants?
From the socialist and the burdensome leadership.
From the, excuse me? The socialists? Now, for my older listeners here, especially those that used to be conservative growing up, what did we call this state? Does anybody know? Where are my Rush Limbaugh and Michael Savage listeners? What did we used to call this state? Anybody know? Yeah, Armageddon's got it. Commifornia. That's what they'd call it. Commifornia. What the fuck does that mean? These are words of war. These are like Civil War tier words. All of this also, by the way, from a stupid cunt who doesn't even know what the fuck habeas corpus is. By the way.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem made headlines during her testimony to the Senate Homeland Security Committee Tuesday when she incorrectly answered what the fundamental U.S. right known as habeas corpus means.
So, Secretary Noem, what is habeas corpus?
Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right to...
So, what is happening here? This is just an unbelievable set of statements that will come and go, and they've already gone, and nobody will think about them. This is just an unbelievable set of statements. The U.S. government is invading California, which they have. They federalized the California National Guard and deployed some of their own personal military, the U.S. military, into California in an attempt to liberate it from the socialists and its leadership? What does that mean? Are you going to depose the mayor? Depose Governor Newsom?
This city. We are not going away. We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist and the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this mayor have placed on this country and what they have. Oh,
so she says it literally. the governor and the mayor. Like, what does that mean?
tried to insert into this city. So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically to the rioters and to the...
Okay. I wish that you guys would just give me the full fucking video, okay? Instead, I hate these clips. God, I hate these clips. Okay. Never mind. I take back what I said earlier. When I see that, well, no, I take back what I said. When I see a clip like this, my assumption is this guy's been bothering them for quite a while. They've told him to leave several times, and he hasn't. That's not the case. So this guy was getting kicked out the second he opened his mouth. I'm surprised she wouldn't just turn and answer the question. This is a U.S. senator? This is a U.S. senator, not a California one. Alex, is it Padilla or Padilla? Oh, it's a state senator. Is it a state senator? Okay. That's an important distinction. No, this is United States Senator. U.S. Senator. This is a U.S. Senator. That's pretty wild. I thought I would have assumed by the clip on Twitter that he was bothering them for a while, and then it's like, okay, well, you're going to get arrested, obviously, or you're going to get detained, or you're going to get kicked out, obviously. He was instantaneously tossed from this. And a senator from California, that's pretty crazy that would happen.
This city. We are not going away. We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist and the burdens.
It reminds me of Hitler's brown shirts. There are good comparisons to make towards the Hitler stuff, and there are things that are happening that, in my opinion, are more scary than the Hitler stuff. And I think you have to be careful. When you talk about the brown shirts initially, one, these were like extra military people. They weren't like part of the official military. It was like a shoot off or a side thing initially, I believe, from the Hitler stuff. These are not the brown shirts. This is the United States federal officers and the United States military. This would be more akin to the SS. The SS was the actual like an actual military component of the Nazi Party, right? Hold on, let me just make sure 100% I have this. The Wehrmacht was like just the military, right? The entire German or Nazi military. Schutzstaffel. Kind of sounds like a delicious treat.
Schutzstaffel.
Schutzstaffel. I actually don't even like calling them, I don't even know if I'd call it the SS then. I think I would just call it the military. These are just federal officers. Actually, I wouldn't even call, I wouldn't even call it the SS because it's important, and I wouldn't call them the Gestapo either. I wouldn't. I think it's important to recognize what exactly we're dealing with here, because Gestapo and SS, I think, are all still kind of like separate from, these were things that were created by the Nazi Party, and to some extent were kind of like secret policey type things. But these aren't. These are just our line level officers and our main, like the FBI, the Secret Service, the whatever. This is really bad. These are not secret police or people that have specially signed up to carry out crazy, corrupt, insane shit. These are just our normal people that are taking these orders. I would argue that this is way, way, way worse. Way, way, way worse than that. It's important to recognize the difference, I think, because we don't have a group of highly motivated, super MAGA people that are doing this. This is half the country, right? This is half the country. That's a huge issue. When Hitler gained power, when he was elected, this was like a coalition government. I don't think there was ever a time where there was a vote where Hitler got 51% of the vote in Germany before the Enabling Act and all that shit, right? They had a coalition government. The way these things were built were different. Trump did this and is here truly on a popular mandate. That is the case. It's not good. It's very bad. But yeah, there have been streamers that have been like involved in spreading propaganda like this. They shave their heads to kind of look like the Nazi dudes, and then they do these symbols in video games. It's crazy.
I should have had him. I just like, Dan, it's you and me against the world.
Okay.
I killed one. One is like kind of right here by orange, I think.
Just camp in a corner. I'm coming to you.
Got one.
Got the other. Hold tear.
Last one's right here. Oh wait, you gotta. Did you get? Oh, on you, on top of you, on top of you.
All right, Ryan.
On that down, drop down. I'm out of fucking.
See, if leftists like me, and I'm not a leftist, sorry. People like me, Hassan, and Vosh were actually on the same team, we could do so much good work for propaganda in the US. And one of the things I would make all of us do is push this clip so hard that at some point in a future history book, when they talk about the radicalization of Americans voting for Trump, this clip would show up. And that would be my contribution to world history. I'm just kidding. That's a joke, by the way. Northern Lion is a base streamer, okay? That was a mistake. Okay, sorry. Back to this.
The socialist and the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this mayor have placed on this country and what they have tried to insert into this city. So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically to the rioters and to the politicians in Los Angeles.
Half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
I also want to talk about specifically how many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty, how they have been targeted, and how their families have been put in jeopardy, and that we're not going.
Based. There should be more videos like this, right? So you have our little fascist speaker here, doesn't know what habeas corpus is. That's just insane, given her position. What is she? I think she's the secretary of the it says it right there, DHS secretary. Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Doesn't know anything about due process or your right to be red charged, doesn't know what habeas corpus. That's insane. And is just speaking nonchalantly, not saying anything, as a sitting U.S. senator. So this is from her government. It's not a California senator. It's a sitting U.S. senator. Immediately hauled away, doesn't answer a question, doesn't even address it, and carries on. Base for this guy. California stepping up. Good job. Good job, you, for standing up and saying shit and not just holding a fucking sign. God, that's always going to be the most cringy moment. If there's ever a point where I'm staring down the metaphorical barrel on a marching Republican army and they're like, you're going to fight for this country. Like, yes, it's America. And they're going to say, what about this? And they all hold up their phones and they play the sign shit. And I'm like, fuck. You know what? You're right. Fuck it. Fuck me. Fuck me, you're right.
Half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your. Do
you think it was incorrect for them to arrest him? Was it actually so bad as to go that far? Well, to be clear, apparently they detained him, but I think that eventually removing him might be okay. It's the fact that they did it instantly. It's the fact that she didn't even acknowledge or respond to him at all. I feel like that's pretty extraordinary. And there's the fact that, okay, I know you guys have a hard time with this. Different standards for different people because we expect different things from different people, okay? When I say I don't care about optics, for me personally, that's actually not true. I actually really care about optics. When I say I don't care about optics, what I'm saying is that my optics are such that I communicate them some things that seem optically unpopular because that's the type of audience that I want. It's because it's the type of thing that I do, right? So when I'm edgy or whatever and people are like, oh, he doesn't care about optics. And I'm like, no, I don't give a fuck about optics. That's not true. I actually do care about optics. The optics that I care about is I want to sell, this is my image, this is who I am, this type of stuff I do. And if you don't like it, you're not going to like me, which is fine. I'm okay with that, with whatever. Okay, so optics do matter to me, just in a different way. So I just say optics don't matter. When it comes to politicians and political movements and activism and everything else, optics are everything, okay? You should be considering what it looks like to arrest a U.S. senator when you're giving a speech about you coming in to take over and destroy the sovereignty of the state of California. Noem Christie and the federal government should be considering this, and they are considering it. I think they are. They must have had a talk beforehand about what to do if there was a disruption or whatever. And the fact that their go-to is to arrest a sitting U.S. senator tells you something about them. It tells you something about what they're willing to do, the type of images that they want to sell to the American public, the type of things that they say are acceptable.
I also want to talk about specifically how many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty, how they have been targeted, and how their families have been put in jeopardy, and that we're not going to allow that anymore as well. That those individuals who are purposely endangering our ICE agents and our law enforcement,
not our ICE agents,
officers and their families will be prosecuted for what they are doing as far as perpetuating violence on them. I want to know that the American people are grateful for our law enforcement officers. We will always respect them, and that President Trump is thankful for the leadership that has been shown by all of these agencies. In fact, President Trump did call in, and I did visit with him today, and he also visited with all of these agencies here this morning and thanked them for what they are doing to make sure that they are protecting the United States of America. The images that we've seen out of Los Angeles the last several days has simply been un-American by the protesters and the violence that we've seen perpetuated. Masked thugs are assaulting police officers. They're setting vehicles on fire. They're waving foreign flags on American soil while burning American flags. And they've damaged public property and destroyed private businesses.
Her not saying anything and just talking seems like some 1984 type shit, no? A little bit, yeah? And then they make a tweet lying about it. Did you guys see... My only criticism, I guess, of the senator was...
And the agents continue to sustain and increase our operations in this city. We are not going away. We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist mayor into this city. So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to...
That's crazy here, where he lunged at her.
To do this.
Look at him lunging. Look at him lunging. He almost got to her. He almost killed her. He almost killed her. Senator, is it Padilla? Chose disrespectful political theater and interrupted a live press conference without identifying himself or having his Senate security pin on as he lunged towards Secretary Noem.
I have questions. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your
the lunging. Also, nobody in this room recognized the senator from California, that he was a senator. Nobody knew, really? Seriously? Apparently they have to wear a pin armband to identify themselves properly. Based. They knew, identified himself immediately. I mean, I don't believe that nobody here knows what this senator looks like. I don't believe that. They also said the senator didn't say who he was. He clearly says his name and what his positions are. Okay.
Doesn't our chicken...
Wait, doesn't our chicken what?
just taste better? Well, they are raised better. And it doesn't stop there. Recyclable trays? Just rolled it out. Sweet. Feed them antibiotics. Our chickens don't need them.
What about bedtime stories?
Epic. Did you hear about how the crowd at Fort Bragg was selected for people who are Trump supporters and not fat? Yeah, I saw that. That's not surprising that they tried to handpick the audience. He was elected in 2021. His current term ends in 2029. Wait, am I retarded? I thought that does every state have different Senate years? Or I thought a senator was there for 6 years. 6 years is a term. Read the next line. He ran for re-election to the U.S. Senate to represent California. He won in the general election in 2022. And his term ends in, he assumed office in, did somebody leave or something? Oh no. Sorry. There was a black hole in my mind for, our mommy. Yeah, Kamala. Rip. I remembered the pain. Previously served as California Secretary of State. He was first elected in. What does the State Department do for a state? Do you communicate with other states? What is the job there? I guess I don't know what the U.S. State Department does. My understanding is it was like diplomatic stuff. It was like representing the U.S. state like abroad, basically. I guess I don't actually know. U.S. State Department. What is the explicit role and job? Responsible for the country's foreign policy and relations. Yeah. So what is the California Department of State? Okay, whatever. People in chat are saying run elections, so I don't know how true that is. But okay. Wait, fuck, where were we? Sorry. So almost certainly he's the junior senator, right? The other senator here has probably been here longer than him. (2023 to 24) Senate Committee on the Budget, Committee on Environment and Public Works, Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs, Rules and Administration, on the Judiciary, Committee on Printing, Energy, Natural Resources. Okay. Oh, the other guy's even newer. The other guy is Schiff, Adam Schiff, December 2020. Oh, he's a senior senator from California. That's what you call him, right? The senior and the junior senator? You don't think California deals with other nations? California is a major part of entry for shipping, and they have a border with Mexico. Directly, no, I don't believe they're allowed to. In the United States, trade policy and stuff, and all of that has to be dealt with by the U.S. federal government. Maybe like the states can. I don't even want to say work out a specific deal. I don't know if you're allowed to do that. I actually don't know. Like for instance, like if you were Mexico and you wanted to ship something to Texas, you can't have like a different deal with Texas than you would for California. You're not allowed to do that. The U.S. government has to manage that stuff. But it's possible that maybe there's type of a coordinator or something, but I don't know. Bro. Do you know that Michigan calls the DMV the Secretary of State? Okay.
Democrats were calling for your resignation. Senator, do you feel fit enough to be here?
Here it comes.
Senator, can you tell us why you skipped judiciary this morning?
Guys, we can't have people dying in Congress, guys, okay?
Dianne Feinstein returned to the Senate last.
The U.S. senator that went to see Abrego Garcia in El Salvador, was he acting alone or on behalf of a state? I believe he was just acting on his own, just to go and see him and whatever, right? But U.S. senator, I know this is weird, okay, because we don't do civics here. A U.S. senator is a representative of the U.S. federal government, not of the state that they're a senator from. They are a member of the U.S. government, not the state government. Now, they represent the interests of that particular state in the U.S. federal government, but they are a member of the U.S. federal government, that governmental body, which is separate, completely and wholly separate from the state government. Right.
Last week, after being away for 2.5 weeks because of a shingles diagnosis. Now, based on a pretty concerning interaction that she had with.
Have you seen a trailer for Spaceballs 2? No. I like how. Like, am I crazy? Has she gotten more conservative? Has she become whiter? Or has she always been incredibly... I don't know. Jesus.